We all want a wonderful retirement, but your retirement could be ruined if you don't avoid some of the very costly mistakes that you may make with your 401k. And I want to share with you 7 of those right here. But before we get there, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the notifications bell. I've been doing this for over 30 years. Got so much information, so much knowledge, so much experience and conversations with my clients that I want to share with you. So make sure you hit that notifications bell. So it should come as no surprise to you that I'm a golfer. Look behind me. That's Pebble Beach's 7th hole, the infamous 7th hole, par 3. I think I played it about 28 or 29 years ago. It was a great experience. And when it comes to golf, for those of you who are golfers, you're told by the instructors over and over again that the success of your shot comes long before you actually hit the ball. It's all about in alignment and positioning, mindset, etc. And if you don't have any of that right, then you're not going to hit the ball where you wish to. This holds true for your retirement as well. You don't just wake up one morning and go, I'm retired. You've got to set it up. You've got to understand what your vision is, how you're going to lead your life, what you're going to do with your time, who you're going to spend your time with, how many rounds of golf are you going to play, where are you going to travel, are you going to consult, how much money do you need, about your cash flow, taxes, estate, all of that stuff. So you have to be thinking about that long in advance of your actual retirement date. So what I want to do is help you set that mindset properly for retirement, particularly for those who have 401ks. So let's get started. So the first of the 7 very costly mistakes, I define it as starting too late in life. You see, our industry, I believe, has done a lousy job of helping you to have the proper mindset, to be prepared, to do the things you need to do to be ready for that retirement date. We keep throwing out these enormous numbers, 1,000,002, 2,000,003, etc. These are the numbers you need for retirement, and you think, oh my goodness, I don't have that. I don't know how to get there. I just can't do that. So I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and hopefully it'll go away and hopefully something will come up and I'll win the lottery. Well, that doesn't happen. And the key really is that we need to get you, and you need to teach this to your kids as well. Start saving small numbers on a disciplined, systematic basis, which is why the 401k is in place to begin with. Each paycheck, you can put a little away on a consistent basis. You can make that number go up or down however you like, based on how your journey of life is going. But the earlier you start, the less you have to put in, and the more that compounding can help you. Let me take you to my screen for just a moment for a very quick lesson. So on the left-hand side of this screen, we call it example 1. We assume that this individual starts saving $2,000 a year for 8 years, and 8 years only. They invest $16,000. The person on the right-hand side doesn't start till the age of 28, but this person invests $2,000 a year for 39 years, or invests $78,000. We're assuming for this example that there's a 9% total return, and there's certainly no guarantees on that number. It's just for illustrative purposes. But at the age of 67, what we find with this example is the person who saved for only 8 years and only $16,000 outperformed the person who saved for 39 years and put in way more money. So please, the lesson is, start early so we don't have to accelerate those savings much later in life. The second costly mistake that you can make is what I call trying to time the market. Most people are not able to do this, and a recent JP Morgan study showed that over the last 20 years, and we'll define last 20 years as from January 3rd of 2000 through the end of December 30, 2019. And what they did is they took a look at these approximately 5,000 days and they said the following. If you had put $10,000 into the market over that period, it would have grown to over $32,000. But that's only if you just kept it in, and that was an average annualized return of approximately 6%. However, if you tried to time the market, and let's say you missed the top 10 days out of those 5,000, you lost almost half of that gain. You were down closer to $16,000. And if you missed the top 20 days, your returns were just a little north of $10,000, or in other words, you made no money. So the message here really is that timing is very difficult to do, and there are numbers of studies out there in our industry that indicates that some of the active managers, 4 out of 5 of those managers typically are unable to outperform their benchmarks or indexes. So trying to be active is very difficult. So be careful and be wary of trying to time the market. Speaking of timing, are you prepared for your retirement? In my latest book, Don't Outlive Your Money in Retirement, we created a quiz for you. Go up to our banner. You can take a 2-minute investment into answering the questions on the quiz, and I will immediately score back for you which one of the 3 retirement preparedness stages you are in, how well you are situated for this next chapter of life. I'll also get you the free chapter and some worksheets that will also help you to gain some more clarity. So click on that banner. The number 3 mistake, trying to hit a home run. Let me share with you a story about this, okay? This millennial generation who's been investing of late, and they claim to have been crushing it with their investments in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and GameStop and AMC. There was a recent study put out by a newsletter that I see that showed that millennials are now expecting almost an 18% annualized return on their investments. So I'm talking to my millennial son-in-law about setting up a couple of 529 plans for his kids, our grandkids. And I said to him, and I was saying to my stepdaughter, think of it like the rule of 72. If you get 10% a year, your money should double every 7 years or so. So maybe it doubles 3 times over the course of the kids' lifetimes before they get to college. And his comment was, oh, I can do a lot better than that. Well, he has a very short experience and time frame and perspective. So I sort of let the comment go, right? But the reality is that if you do look to hit the home runs, there were numbers of people who did make a lot of money in Bitcoin or GameStop or AMC. And there's also a lot of people who did not make a lot of money in that and may have lost a lot of money. So instead of trying to hit the home run, take the long game and play it for the time frame of the 10, 20, 30, 40 years you may have until retirement. Don't try to hit the home run that next week you might become a millionaire. The next mistake is what I call missing the match. So here's the question for you. If I could double your money, that for every dollar you put into your 401k, I could guarantee you that as soon as you put that in, it would turn into $2. What would you say? More than likely, let's go at it. Hey, let's not just put in $1, let's put in 10, 100, thousands, and you can match it. Well, that's what the match is all about from your corporations who have matches available to you where they say, you put in a certain percentage of your income, we'll match it up to 2%, 3%, 5%, whatever the number is. So if you're going to contribute to the 401k plan and you just want to do a minimum amount, do at least the amount that will meet the match so you can double that contribution. Anything other than that or less than that is just giving away money. The next big mistake, and I call it a big mistake, almost a third of all people who are in or participating in 401k plans are taking loans out against their plan. And for the most part, that's a bad idea. I will share with you there are two circumstances where it's okay. One, if you find yourself in a hardship and you have no other monies and your 401k plan has a hardship withdrawal program or provision, of course you take it out. The other is maybe if you have some credit card debt and it's really high and you want to lower that debt, maybe you reassign the contributions from your 401k plan for a short period of time to pay down that debt. But otherwise, it's a bad idea, and I'm going to show you why right now. So this is an example of a 35-year-old who's going to take out a $5,000 loan on her plan. And the question is, what is the impact of taking that $5,000 out now when she's 35, when she retires at age 65? And here we're assuming a $5,000 loan, a 5-year payout, a 5% interest rate, and she's paying herself back $44 of the total of $150 that she has regularly contributed to the plan. But the reality is that I assumed she was going to continue to contribute the $150, but if she's in financial duress, she's more than likely going to lower that contribution level. So I'm giving you the most optimistic scenario possible. So at the age of 65, assuming a 7% return, certainly no guarantees for any future performance, but for this illustrative purpose, that $5,000 loan, the account balance for that individual, assuming that they continue to contribute $150 each pay period. If they took the loan out, it's approximately $607,000 at age 65. If they didn't take the loan out, it's over $659,000. Or the answer to the question is that $5,000 loan cost her over $50,000 in her potential future retirement nest egg. So be careful if you're looking to take a loan. So the sixth mistake is not understanding the Roth. Now, the Roth is something much newer than an IRA or a 401k. It's the ability to put money in on a tax-deferred basis after tax money. You don't get a tax benefit for it, but you are able later on in life, after 59 and a half, able to get the money out tax-free. And many 401k plans now incorporate the ability for you to contribute to a Roth 401k. So you need to take a look at your personal circumstance. Are you better off to invest pre-tax versus post-tax? What's your taxable implications for today and for the future? What are your other assets that might be available? And take a look with your financial advisor and your accountant as to whether or not you want to employ a Roth as a part of your 401k, so later on in life, in retirement, you may be able to get some tax-free income. Now, the last mistake, I call it just being a bystander, not getting involved. Now, there are many people who are eligible for 401ks who do enroll, okay? I think that number, depending upon the organization, could be as high as 80 or 85 or 90%, and that's great for those organizations. But if you don't get involved, if you don't get informed, if all you do is just check off a box saying contribute X and put it in this fund or funds and then do nothing else, you're going to more than likely miss out, not be informed, not be able to make adjustments that might need to be made on the portfolio, to take advantage of opportunities that may exist when markets go up or down, not being in control of your own finances. And when your life changes, If you aren't making adjustments to your 401k, that's on you. One of the big adjustments, by the way, people don't think about this when they sign up for their 401k plan, the beneficiary designation. When I die, who gets it? My wife, and if she dies, who's the contingent beneficiary, the secondary? I can tell you that in my office, I have seen the contingent beneficiary be Aunt Molly, who passed away 12 years ago. Okay? This is not something you typically check on an annualized basis, but if you're paying attention, if you're involved, if every at least year or 2 years you do check in to see what you're invested in, what the allocations are, how much you're contributing, and what the beneficiary designations are, you'll be more in control when you do this. If you don't, it could be a very costly mistake for you and potentially your heirs. So do take a look at this video on other mistakes that you could be making that could be costly within your 401k.